It seems like there is a generational divide on what everyone thinks of as the definitive Mike Myers performance. Those born in the 80s probably first associate him with Wayne Campbell.
I will not bow to any sponsor.
If you were born in the 90s, odds are you first think of him as Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby!
A character that dominated most of that decade.
The 70s and the 80s, you're not missing anything. I looked into it.
And if you were born in the 2000s, you were probably first introduced to him when he starred in the reimagining of a classic children's book, The Cat in the Hat.
My size. Please, aidez-moi.
But long before that, in between trading long hair for chest hair, he starred in a movie that today feels so overshadowed by those other films, called So I Married an Axe Murderer.
How many people have you brutally murdered?
Well, brutal is a very subjective word.
It's a movie where I feel he gave us one of his most unique comedy characters, though, simply because it's a side of him that we rarely get to see, himself.
Excuse me, miss. There seems to be a mistake. I believe I ordered the large cappuccino. Hello!
Unlike Wayne's World and Austin Powers, this movie was not a concept that began with Mike Myers. Far from him, actually, as it began development in the late 80s, before Mike had even made his debut on SNL. The idea came from screenwriter Robbie Fox, who originally pitched the project as Annie Hall if Annie Hall was a serial killer. Robbie later told Spin magazine that his initial concept was basically Woody Allen in a Hitchcock movie.
With his wee, beady eyes and that smug look on his face.
The pitch got the attention of Columbia Pictures executive Robert Fried, who commissioned a screenplay, originally to be titled The Man Who Cried Wife.
If you could name it something else, what would you name it?
The Man Who Cried Wife. Rob Fried, the producer, always had that in his back pocket. And it just somehow in the shuffle never came to fruition.
The studio apparently offered Woody Allen the lead role, and surprisingly, he was interested. He eventually backed out, though, choosing to star in scenes from a mall instead.
Light a match!
As the story centered around a Jewish main character living in New York, the studio next turned their attention to comics like Billy Crystal, Albert Brooks, and Gary Shandling to star, though they also couldn't come to agreements with them.
Keep away from this one, it's too big for you!
The project was then quietly forgotten about until the early 90s. The script was then used to lure Mike Myers to TriStar, a subdivision of Columbia, following the immense success of Wayne's World.
I am coming.
Myers was intrigued by the concept, though he felt it would have to be heavily retooled to suit his comedy style.
I'm naked, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
Awkward.
With the box office results of Wayne's World to back him up, the studio allowed Mike to overhaul the story without objection. He brought in writing partner Neil Mullarkey, and the two of them transformed the overall tone of the movie, taking it from a satire of 80s New York cinema to more of a zany romantic comedy, much closer in vein to Wayne's World.
She'll be down in a moment, actually. Yes, and could you bring the car around? Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Even working in opportunities for plenty of cameos.
My name is John Johnson, but everyone here calls me Vicky. Will you please follow me?
I love Vicky. He's a great guy.
He's the best.
Oh.
Watching it today, you can also see some precursors to elements that would later appear in the Austin Powers films as well.
Really evil. Like so evil that you would say it was evil. Like it's the fruits of the devil. Evil. Right.
Myers and Mullarkey transported the story from New York to San Francisco in order to make the lead character Charlie a beat poet.
Girls of cartoons won't leave me in ruins. I want to be Betty's Barney.
In removing the New York setting, they also removed the Jewish influence on the original script, and the lead character was rewritten to be Scottish in this new version.
You know, Scotland has its own martial arts. Yeah, it's called
Fuck you!
Which also gave Mike an excuse to ensure that the movie had a distinct Britpop soundtrack.
You want my body? I'm getting a taxi. Come on, baby, let me know.
Lastly, foreshadowing him playing multiple roles in the Austin Powers series, Myers introduced a father character for Charlie, whom he also planned to play.
Let's get past!
Is he at all based on your father?
A little bit. In Liverpool, there's a long tradition of being crusty, and and put-down humor.
All right, away and go with your mother, all right? And while you're there, why don't you try one of her bras on you, wee girl?
It's also based on a friend of mine's father who was from Scotland.
And show the picture of Charlie when he shit his pants at Niagara Falls.
Oh, come on, Mom, don't show her the pictures.
The character, named Stuart, walks a fine line between Myers' later characters, Fat Bastard and Shrek.
Well, that was offside, wasn't it? He'll be crying himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow.
One thing that reportedly remained unchanged with the new script was the female lead character, named Harriet.
I mean, what's brutal to one person might be totally reasonable to somebody else.
While the part had originally been written with a femme fatale like Sharon Stone in mind, producers were won over by Nancy Travis after seeing her in 1988's Married to the Mob.
Don't move.
Another aspect that carried over from an earlier version of the movie was director Thomas Schlamme, who first became attached to the project back when Gary Shandling was being touted to star, having directed several episodes of It's Gary Shandling Show. It's no secret that Myers and Schlamme clashed during the movie's production.
To say the least, it was the most difficult experience I'd had professionally. In hindsight, I look back on that and I was probably ill-equipped to deal with that. I think part of it was, from my point of view, I can't answer what was going on for Mike. I was amazed that I couldn't get this guy to trust me.
I didn't mean to hurt you.
A blurb in Spy magazine leading up to its release stated that halfway through filming, the two stopped speaking to one another.
You win, okay? I'm a bad person.
Oh, yes, I'm a bad person.
While an unnamed source from the production alleged that Myers was, quote, a psycho.
He's saying I'm insensitive. He's saying I'm a shit. He's not saying you're a shit.
Elaborating on this by saying, 5% of the time he added levity, and 85% of the time he added havoc.
I'm a very insensitive man. Stop your job. Look at the insensitive man.
The rewriting of the screenplay later led to arbitration by the Writers Guild to determine who deserved credit.
I'm telling you, baby, that's not mine.
Resulting in a highly publicized dispute that ultimately decided Robbie Fox still deserved to be credited as the sole screenwriter.
Move that melon of yours and get the paper if you can.
In a press release, Mike Myers' manager at the time said that the WGA made, quote, a gross mistake in handing sole credit to Fox. If you were to read the two scripts, you would be stunned at how different they are. Fox's script is a thriller with a little bit of comedy. Mike and Neil's script is a comedy with a little bit of thriller.
The paper contains facts.
Regardless of this ruling and the tensions on set, neither was reflected in the final product, and the movie is a lot of fun. The story centers around Charlie Mackenzie, a struggling beat poet bouncing from one relationship to the next, leaving each for very Seinfeldian reasons.
She smelled like soup.
The soup counts.
Naturally, Charlie has a typical rom-com best friend, an undercover cop named Tony, played by Anthony LaPaglia.
Excuse me, sir. I'm with the San Francisco Police Department. This is official police business. I would like to commandeer this vehicle. No.
What isn't typical, however, is Tony's dynamic with his police captain, played by Alan Arkin, who is far more kind and understanding than other movie police chiefs.
You know, where you come in and you haul me into your office and you bawl me out because you're sick and tired of defending my screwball antics to the commissioner? Why can't you do that?
Hey, somebody needs a hug.
Resulting in a great running joke where the captain tries hard to adapt.
Hey, Paisan!
What?
You screw up one more time, I'm gonna kick your spaghetti-bending butt back to Milan.
Not now, not now.
Was it too much with the ethnic slurs?
No, it was fine, but it's not paisan, it's paisan.
Ah.
Charlie first meets Harriet, a butcher, when buying haggis to take home to his Scottish parents.
Oh, I haven't seen one of these for a year. Oof, for years. Actually, I hate them.
Like I said, Myers plays his own father, Stuart, a character he disappears into despite minimal makeup.
Oh, I hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes and that smug look on his face. Oh, you're gonna buy my chicken, oh!
Charlie's mom, May, is played by Irish actress Brenda Fricker, who you might recognize from her turn as... that's right, the Pigeon Lady.
You got pickle up your ass again.
I wonder if this means that Stuart is the ex that broke her heart that she spoke of.
But the man I loved fell out of love with me.
The guy left his heart in San Francisco.
It's May who first alerts Charlie to the mysterious honeymoon murderer in a tabloid newspaper.
She marries men under fake identities, and then she murders them.
Charlie also has a younger brother, William,
Heed! Move!
marked by his rather large head.
Hauling that gargantuan cranium about. I'm not kidding, that boy's head's like Sputnik.
The scenes of the Mackenzie family are some of the funniest stuff in the movie, but the characters, in particular Stuart, aren't overused.
Now Charlie tells me you're a butcher.
Yes, I am a butcher.
Do you link your own sausage?
It makes me wonder if this element later inspired Eddie Murphy to play members of his own family in the Nutty Professor movies.
Could have been worse.
Charlie returns to the butcher shop and reconnects with Harriet, and the two soon fall in love. But things get complicated the more Charlie learns about this fabled honeymoon murderer, as it appears that details of the serial killer line up with what Harriet has revealed of her own past.
Being able to sing in 6 different languages the song Only You. Yes, see, Charlie. Does Harriet even know the words to Only You?
Before long, Charlie has started to suspect that his new love is secretly the honeymoon killer.
Stick a needle in your...
As Charlie sets out to uncover the truth, the movie expertly segues from romantic comedy to a compelling mystery, just as Myers expertly segues from a romantic charm to paranoia.
I spent 20 minutes making it. Just take a sip. Take one little sip.
I'm just gonna go.
Try it. One little sip. Wouldn't hurt. Take it.
Like the best Hitchcock movies the original script set out to parody, it also always manages to stay one step ahead of its audience.
What should I do?
Don't worry, when the time comes, you'll know.
Thanks. Thank you.
Charlie eventually accepts that his paranoia is just his commitment phobia, which he decides to combat by proposing marriage to Harriet.
I mean, how could you have ever thought that this girl was a murderer?
Only you.
The final act takes place during the couple's honeymoon, where Charlie's suspicion returns stronger than ever before, and it makes for a really climactic ending.
Stay for a nightcap.
Sir, I really don't think I should.
Stay for a nightcap!
While it's impossible to know what this movie would have looked like had Mike Myers not been involved, I think his version of the story ends up getting the most out of the concept.
Let me pick up the check.
No infinity.
Come on.
No.
Come
Negatory,
on.
good buddy.
You're embarrassing me.
Negatory, good buddy. Negatory, good buddy. No.
I'll pick up the check.
Okay.
Unlike Wayne Campbell or Austin Powers, Charlie Mackenzie lets us see how skilled Mike Myers can be at playing a regular guy.
Do you actually like haggis?
No, I think it's repellent in every way. In fact, I think most Scottish cuisine is based on a dare.
Though his quick wit and sarcasm still come through.
Hey, you know what this place needs? A really large, oversized poster of Atlantic City. Oh, look, you got one!
He is surrounded by a terrific supporting cast, though, and he frequently steps aside to let the movie's many bit performers shine in their own ways.
Hey, you know another thing about Harriet I love?
Director Thomas Schlamme and the DP also deserve praise for truly getting the most out of the San Francisco backdrop, though, and I'm convinced it was this movie that inspired the Family Guy establishing shots. Perhaps because the movie didn't star Mike Myers as a wacky character, or perhaps because of the negative publicity surrounding its production, So I Married an Axe Murderer flopped upon its release.
Hello.
I can't help but feeling like this movie's failure was a blessing and a curse, though.
You're just not gonna bend on this commandeering thing, are you?
No.
A blessing because maybe that's what motivated Mike Myers to come up with Austin Powers for his next starring vehicle. And a curse because we never again got to see Mike Myers star as a normal guy in a comedy movie, something he showed here that he really excels at.
Whoa, man! Whoa, man!
Even when he later revisited a concept first established in this movie for the Netflix series The Pentaverate.
Well, it's a well-known fact, Sonny Jim, that there's a secret society of the 5 wealthiest people in the world known as the Pentaverate.
All of the characters he played were bold, eccentric ones in heavy prosthetics.
Cuckoo.
So I Married an Axe Murderer may be the black sheep of Mike Myers' filmography, but perhaps that's what makes it his most compelling work.